been degraded a lot, I think, in people's, like, I don't know what, through people's irresponsibility, but those forms are ancient. Like, these shapes they'll always be with us. Shapes like that, they'll always have an impact. It's just more sketchbook. This is a sort of the shapes at the top maybe are kind of like median, going from some kind of raw state of energy to a more formed state, you know? And you can see that in nature. You can see that in engineering. You can see that in relationships. Those are universal forms. Here's a bunch of new work that I'm going to go through really quick. These are small watercolor paintings that hopefully I'll be making into larger paintings maybe. These are fast character studies. The intentions to bridge some kind of gap between figurative work and like the oppression of making comics and dealing with characters, and the oppression of like having to draw something cool that people enjoy looking at, playing with like a toy, and drawing or making a painting that has a raw energy all its own that stands even outside of characters and outside of stories and narratives. This guy's at an opening. It's pretty goofy. Maybe she's at an opening too. It's a movie, making a movie. Guarding, standing, guarding, standing. There's a page from a comic, poster I made. This is a poster I made for, I don't know if you've ever seen this horrible new wave movie called Liquid Sky about doing heroin and aliens and stuff, but I made a poster for the screening they did of it in Los Angeles. I was really excited about that. These are some posters for shows that I have at my house. These are really fun to make. These are all made out of drawings, scrap drawings, sketchbook drawings. That grid there of dots is from the internet. It's a drawing I made at my parents' house. This is some wallpaper I'm designing for my studio right now. That's the overall design. There needs to be another color, I think, and that's the detail of the basic shape, which is supposed to reflect flowers and, I don't know, all different kinds of natural forms, all the terror and beauty that you can find in nature. This is a chair I made. This chair is made entirely out of wood that was blocking the windows. When I bought this house, a lot of the windows were smashed, so there was plywood over the windows. And I took that down and I made this chair out of it. All the screws are from the stairway of the same house. They were holding down the rug that I took up. So all the elements, the paint's from the basement, all the elements were in this house. So it's a chair of vigilance. It's like a security system. And that's it. Thank you.
So we just keep rolling. Yeah. Wait, did you just do that without me?
Yeah, sorry.
Shit. Took me like 3 hours with playing with Keynote to figure out how to do that thing. All right, I'll do it myself. Wait, that is not the right effect. PowerPoint messed it up.
Yeah.
It's supposed to bounce in. Anyway, so this is the most important part. Yeah, if and if is supposed to bounce in from the side, and a minute later, from reality to dream to slideshow, like bursts in flames. But obviously, when you translate Keynote into PowerPoint, real life, aka PowerPoint, gets all fucked up. Yeah. So my turn, and away we go. Probably like 1978. Those are my parents. I think I took that photo. That's why, I don't know, I guess I didn't like I only liked half of my mom. We trade the camera off. I'm totally doing a different kind of slideshow than Mr. CF did. So outside of Pennsylvania, or in Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, I was number 3. Back then, is this super loud? Oh my God. I made books back then. This is the one. Well, I made one book back then. I think I made this in like kindergarten. And I have a feeling my mom helped with the writing because I don't know if I would have made that up. But I like there's a little lion in the corner. He's kind of yellow. It doesn't translate. But it's basically like a big ripoff of Hansel and Gretel. So that was my first book. I've been into books for a long time. You know, I was a normal kid. I played soccer. That's my school's current outfit on the right there. I Googled Conestoga soccer team. I was into video games. I played Bard's Tale, solved number 1 and 2 and 3. Anybody else? No, I didn't think so. And I read comic books. This is really squash. Oh no, it's not that squash.
You're good.
This is the first comic I ever got in subscription form or whatever. Like I signed up and I mailed away, and once a month I got these. They came in a brown paper, like scrunched sack, and it was shoved in your mailbox. This is one of my first superhero comics that I ever bought. I bought this off a newsstand. It's drawn by David Mazzucchelli, who probably a lot of people are aware of. He did that cover. If you're only aware of his current, very artistic work, this is his old school, much worse stuff. So that's an interior page, David Mazzucchelli. And this is a comic from, I think, 86 or something, and I think to this day it's still one of the best. This era of Daredevil is one of the best superhero comics or runs I've ever read. But yeah, David Mazzucchelli was great and is still great. I'm sure they have his current book here. Bloom County, big influence. I had a lot of characters when I was a kid that strangely looked exactly like Bloom County characters. Mr. Noisy, big influence. I don't know if you guys read the Mr. Men books, but I was a big collector. So much of a collector that I think I ripped them off. I don't know. It's kind of different, but it's a little bit the same. So yeah, when I was a kid, I made these character sheets. Basically the whole lineage of this slideshow kind of just going to work you through my obsession with this crap from a young age. Comic books and characters. So this sheet was reprinted in a book called Ninja that Mr. Nadell here published, 2005, which, I'll get to that later. But anyway, this was a long time ago. This was a comic that featured some of these characters called The Origin of Devil. And when I did the slideshow, my first version on last Sunday, I was like reading all the dialogue from the kids' comics, and Dan told me I shouldn't do that, so we'll just keep moving. Although there's some dialogue up here I might read. This was, I think that last stuff was like 7th grade or like 6th grade, or I don't know. This, I think, is 8th grade. Like those kind of just basic black. We'll sit with this one for a while. Yeah, those basic kind of black square-bound things you get. So this is The Little Book of More Comics by Brian Chippendale and Arwen the LeCat, who is another character of mine.
Arwen LeCat.
Yeah, we're right there. Here we go. Oh, Jesus Christ, how did I do that? Began in 3/1/86 and finished in 5/28/86. I don't remember what grade I was in. I was 13. So age 13 comics. This is Fuzzball the hamster. He's War Against the Shot Putters. He gets squished by a shot put. I had a lizard character named Lizard Dude. This is just a street scene from my 13-year-old's perspective. It's not my street. I might have thought it looked like that, but it surely didn't. Yeah, blow. This was moving on to maybe like 10th grade. Me and my best friend, David Wilson, made a comic together where the Big C is also Conestoga, the school I went to. But we found these tunnels under the school, like where all the wiring and stuff was. So we would, any chance we got, we would just run around in these tunnels and somehow didn't like electrocute ourselves. But this adventure was about this guy goes to get a cigarette or like smoke in the tunnels, and he uncovers a whole huge pile of Nazis. One of whom, strangely enough, is Mr. T, which I don't know. I'm surprised he didn't say, "Lights out, pity the fool, dude." But he just says up there, "Lights out, dude." But anyway, the hero wins and blows the whole school up in the end. That is my best friend from that era, David Wilson. So like we did that comic together, and I had a guy named Lizard Dude, and he had a guy named Salamander Dude or something. And he actually, in 8th grade, he like sent his comics, which looked a lot like those comics that I made. He sent them off to like, it wasn't Marvel, but it was like whatever. He tried to get it published, which I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny. This is him at Burning Man. Now he moved to the West Coast. You know what I'm talking about. I'll be out there soon. So then I went on to college at some point, and this is me and my freshman roommate, Matt Brinkman. I can barely even tell which one is who, but we were a little dressed up in this shot, but not that much.
To point out who's who.
Yeah, I'm on the left, and he's on the...
Brinkman's in the overalls.
Brinkman's in the overalls. I don't know if you guys know Brinkman's work, but his drawings look just like that. He like most freshman roommates, we had talked on the phone a few times, and he was this like really soft-spoken guy from Texas, and then he showed up, and under that orange hat, there's like this mass of disgusting blonde dreadlocks, and he came like lumbering down the hall, and it was terrifying. He looked nothing like his soft, gentle voice. So when I went to college, I got more into like serious stuff and got rid of comics and made this is one book I made. This was based on a trip. I went to, where did I go? Rome. And me and a friend of mine took a 22-day walk out of Rome. We just kind of walked south. I was sort of in love with her at the time, and she was looking at Rome, and I was kind of looking at the back of her, but it was still a really nice walk, and this was a book I made afterwards. So that was sort of more serious books. But meanwhile, I was still drawing a lot. Coming through after that amazing high school comic book that I made, I was struggling. I wanted to draw comics, but I was sort of struggling with how to draw comics. So my sketchbooks slowly transformed into comics. So this is a sketchbook probably from like 91, 92, or 93, I'm not sure, somewhere in there. So I was sort of messing around with frames and, I don't know, stuff like that. This one I drew a bunch of stuff and I covered it over. All done with one of those little rapidograph pens. This was the next sketchbook. So this next little batch is just going to be sort of sketchbooks, the evolution of sketchbooks. These were books this one and the last one are books that I found. We used to kind of explore Providence, which in the early 90s was this desolate wasteland. So we would find, I think these books are like from the 50s. We found in an old warehouse, or maybe even earlier, but just like old lodger books with numbers written in them and stuff. So I would draw over stuff that was already in them, which would be some writing. Although I think this page I actually wrote most of that stuff below it. So in this sketchbook, I decided I was going to draw a comic, whether or not I knew how to. So I just started from the beginning, just putting frames across the whole thing. And it was in this comic, I started working out a system of just drawing like straight across. Oh, there it goes again. Well, I can just touch the screen and... I just started in the left-hand corner, and I would draw all the way across the page, and then I would just drop down and then draw back the other way. And it just seemed, at the time, it was just kind of the only solution I could come up with to actually, I don't know, I would like forget what I was doing by the time I got to the other side of the page when I tried to go back. So I started doing these snaking patterns in this book. That's another one. And that snaking pattern